Have you ever had your day ruined by a nasty comment or by someone who seemed to just want to provoke you? That feeling of being affected by other people's venom is exhausting, right? But here's the thing. No one has control over you unless you hand it over to them. Anger, irritation, resentment, these things keep you tied to others' actions. This is how they win. Now imagine being immune to this, facing the provocation and not feeling a thing. No anger, no frustration, just peace. This isn't a dream. It's a power already inside you, just waiting to be awakened. In this video, you'll learn how to become 100% immune to irritation and protected from toxic people using secret teachings from the Stoics. It's not about being cold or pretending you don't care, but about acting with intelligence. I'll show you how to handle criticism without losing your calm, set boundaries firmly, and most importantly, free yourself from the grudges holding you back. Before we start, like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. This way, YouTube will recommend this video to more people who want to protect their peace and take control of their emotions. Let's go. Method 1. Control is in your mind. Life is full of situations that test our patience. People who, with their words or actions, try to destabilize us, provoke us, or make us lose our calm. Often our reaction is automatic, an explosion of anger, a fight or frustration. But what the great Stoic philosophers teach is that if we control our minds, we can become immune to this kind of situation. Think of a tense situation where someone tries to get under your skin. Your blood starts to boil, your mind races, but deep down, you know you have two choices: react or stay calm. This is what the Stoics call self-control, one of the greatest qualities we can develop. They believed that to achieve inner peace, the challenge isn't to defeat others, but to learn to master our own reactions. The first step to becoming immune to irritation is understanding that it doesn't come from the outside, but from within you. When someone acts rudely or selfishly, it only affects you if you allow it. Other people's words and actions are just triggers. What truly matters is how you decide to react to them. If an offense or criticism rattles you, it means you've given that person power over your emotional state. You become their hostage, and you don't want that, right? The second point is to practice rational indifference. This doesn't mean being cold or insensitive to people, but learning that not everything deserves your energy. When someone acts negatively, it often reflects their own frustrations and insecurities. It has nothing to do with you. Just understanding this reduces the impact of what they do. Remember, negative people, those who act with anger, envy, or criticism, have a clear goal. They want to provoke you. They try to pull you into the same bad energy they carry. And this is where the power of Stoicism comes in, not reacting. When you choose to ignore, you break the cycle of negativity and put yourself on a higher level, where nothing and no one can take your peace. Another key point to staying immune to irritation is focusing on what you can control. In the end, the only thing under your control is your own mind. You can't change what others say or do, but you can decide how to respond to it. The Stoics taught that we should focus on our own personal growth, not other people's behaviors. This creates an emotional shield because you stop depending on others' actions to maintain your balance. Lastly, remember, your peace is worth more than any revenge or impulsive response. When someone tries to irritate you, you have the chance to respond with intelligence. Stay calm, and by doing so, become stronger. You show that you're in control, that nothing affects you, and that the negative person has no power over you. You put yourself in a superior position, where your inner peace remains intact. When you learn to master your mind, no provocation has strength over you. True strength is not in reacting, but in not reacting. And when you stay firm in your center, no one can take that from you. So the next time someone tries to destabilize you, take a deep breath, apply these principles, and choose not to react. Over time, your mind will grow stronger, and those negative people will lose all the power they thought they had over you. Method 2. You are not what they say about you, you are what you choose to be. You know those moments when you keep dwelling on what others said? A criticism, a negative comment, or even an expectation that doesn't seem to match who you really are. But somehow, it bothers you like an echo that won't go away. This kind of thing can invade our minds and try to influence us. But here's an essential truth. You're not what others say about you. You are what you choose to be. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing our worth depends on other people's opinions, as if our identity is a reflection of what others see in us. But the great lesson of life is that no one can define who you are, except you. Other people's words are just words. They can spin around in our heads, but they don't change the truth about who we truly are. Your essence cannot be distorted by external judgments, because in the end, you are so much more than any opinion. How many times have you caught yourself replaying a criticism in your mind, letting it affect your self-esteem, or tried to fit into other people's expectations, thinking that was the only way to be accepted? The truth is liberating. No one has the right to tell you who you should be. You have that power. Every day, you can decide who you want to be. Look inside and ask yourself, who am I really? Your essence is not in what others say, but in what you choose to live and express. The struggles you've been through, the mistakes you've made, and the disappointments you've faced don't define who you are. What really matters is your ability to rise up, start over, and stay true to yourself, even when the world tries to steer you off your path. Every conscious decision to be authentic, to look in the mirror and like what you see, not because it's perfect, but because it's true, is what really counts. And yes, you're going to make mistakes, fall down, and feel lost sometimes. That's part of learning. But here's the main point. None of that diminishes who you are. On the contrary, it's those experiences that make you stronger. True strength comes from understanding that you are in control of your own life and can start over as many times as needed. It doesn't matter what others think or expect from you. What matters is what you want for your life and your well-being. Breaking free from external pressure takes courage. Being who you really are, without masks and without trying to please everyone, may feel scary. Some people will try to label you, limit you, or define you based on what you have or what you've done. But in those moments, remember, you are not what they say you are. You are what you choose to be. The truth is simple. You become what you decide to be. That choice is what strengthens you, takes you out of insecurity, and gives you clarity. When you understand this, a world of possibilities opens up before you. You can be your best version, make choices that bring peace, growth, and happiness. In the end, what truly matters is not what others say about you, but what you feel and want for yourself. So, take a deep breath and don't let others' opinions define who you are. The decision is in your hands. You have the power to be exactly who you want to be. Method 3. Turn your anger into empathy. Anger only brings more anger. Hate only spreads more hate. But the opposite is also undeniable. Forgiveness inspires more forgiveness. Patience generates more patience. Everything you do comes back to you, either to hurt or heal you. Think about that. Sometimes anger arises out of nowhere, like an internal storm that takes over your mind and body. You feel the heat rising, your heart racing, and the sensation that irritation is about to explode. When we don't understand anger, it seems like a monster that takes control. It's easy to get carried away, letting it guide your words and actions, hurting others and yourself. But what if I told you that you can use this anger in a more positive, constructive way? Anger can actually be an opportunity in disguise, a moment to replace judgment with understanding, a chance to realize that the pain that makes you angry at someone else might be the same pain they are carrying. And then, you have a choice. Feed that anger or transform it into something lighter, more humane, more meaningful. Turning anger into empathy means stopping seeing the other person as an enemy and seeing them as someone who also has difficulties and challenges. Sometimes, a kind word or a gesture of patience is all it takes for the other person to open up, understand themselves, and even change. This doesn't mean accepting everything or allowing abuse, but rather understanding that we all make mistakes and have our limitations. When you choose empathy, not only do you relieve your own suffering, but you also make room for the healing of the other person. Have you ever felt anger dissipate when someone treated you with patience during a difficult moment? That unexpected calm, that look of understanding made a difference, didn't it? That's true strength. Turning anger into empathy is an act of greatness because it frees you. You stop being a hostage to what others do and take control of your own reactions. Instead of responding with aggression, you act with awareness and wisdom. The world is already full of hate. Be the balance it needs. When you make this shift, you find more ease and become not only stronger, but also more human. So, the next time anger arises, stop and remember, you have the power to choose. If you choose to use it to create empathy, you'll be taking a step towards something much more powerful, liberating, and transformative. Method 4. Stop expecting others to do things your way. Do you know when you expect people to act the way you want them to? Maybe you're waiting for more attention from someone or hoping that a friend or colleague will finally understand what you need and support you. But the truth is harsh. People aren't always going to act the way you want them to. And when you get stuck in that expectation, you end up becoming a hostage to something that's beyond your control. Accepting this doesn't mean you should give up on respect or affection, but rather understand that you can't control others' behavior. Imagine that you spent the whole day working on something important and expected a friend to be there for you, but they simply didn't show up. You feel frustrated, hurt, and think, I would have done it differently. Why don't they care? That hurts because you're putting your happiness in the hands of others' reactions. Method 3. Turn your anger into empathy. Anger only breeds more anger. Hate just spreads more hate. But the opposite is also true. Forgiveness inspires more forgiveness. Patience leads to more patience. Everything you do comes back to you, either to hurt or heal you. Think about that. Sometimes anger appears out of nowhere, like a storm that takes over your mind and body. You feel the heat rising, your heart racing, and the irritation ready to explode. When we don't understand anger, it seems like a monster taking control. It's easy to get carried away, letting it guide your words and actions, hurting others and yourself. But what if I told you that you can use that anger in a more positive, constructive way? Anger can actually be an opportunity in disguise, a moment to replace judgment with understanding, a chance to realize that the pain making you angry at someone could be the same pain they're carrying. And in that moment, you have a choice. Fuel that anger, or turn it into something lighter, more human, more meaningful. Turning anger into empathy means stopping seeing the other person as an enemy and seeing them as someone who also has struggles and challenges. Sometimes a kind word or a patient gesture is all it takes to help the other person open up, understand themselves, and even change. This doesn't mean accepting everything or allowing abuse, but realizing that we all make mistakes and have our limitations. When you choose empathy, you not only relieve your own suffering, but also make space for the other person's healing. Have you ever felt anger dissipate when someone treated you with patience during a tough moment? That unexpected calmness, that look of understanding made all the difference, right? That's real strength. Turning anger into empathy is a great act because it sets you free. You stop being a hostage to what others do and start taking control of your own reactions. Instead of responding with aggression, you act with awareness and wisdom. The world is already full of hate. Be the balance it needs. When you make that shift, you find more peace and become not just stronger, but more human. So the next time anger comes, stop and remember, you have the power to choose. If you choose to use it to create empathy, you'll be taking a step towards something much more powerful, liberating, and transformative. Method 4. Stop expecting others to do things your way. Do you ever find yourself waiting for people to act the way you want them to? Maybe you're hoping for more attention from someone, or wishing that a friend or coworker would finally understand what you need and support you. But here's the hard truth. People aren't always going to act the way you want them to. And when you get stuck on those expectations, you end up becoming a prisoner of something out of your control. Accepting this doesn't mean you should give up on respect or affection, but rather understand that you can't control how others behave. Imagine you spent the entire day working on something important and expected a friend to be there with you, but they just didn't show up. You feel frustrated, hurt, and think, I would have done it differently. Why don't they care? That hurts because you've placed your happiness on how others react. Many times we forget that everyone has their own life, challenges, and concerns. People won't always see what you need or be available to offer what you expect. You might wish that everyone would act like you would, but that's not how it works. Everyone has their own path, and it won't always match yours. When you expect too much from others, you end up creating unnecessary pressure on the relationship, and that doesn't mean they don't care. They might be going through their own struggles or just haven't realized how important something is to you. If you keep waiting for everything to go exactly as you planned, you're going to get tired and disappointed. Instead of building healthy connections, you may end up fostering resentment, and what could have been a good relationship may turn into a collection of hurts and frustrations. Now think about this. What if instead of waiting for others to change, you looked at yourself? If you accepted that everyone sees the world in their own way, you'd stop putting an unfair responsibility on them. You don't need others to react the way you want to feel good. You can follow your values, seek what makes you happy, and find peace without relying on anyone's validation. Imagine how freeing it would be to live with less stress and more peace. Let's take a simple example. Maybe you have a relative who's always late to gatherings. It bothers you a lot because you wish they were more punctual. But what if, instead of expecting them to change, you simply accepted that they have a different way of dealing with time? That doesn't mean you agree with their tardiness, but you understand that everyone has their own struggles and pace. Instead of waiting for them to change, you can choose how to handle it. Adjusting your expectations might be the first step to living with more peace. You don't need to wait for others to act the way you want. Relationships and situations become much lighter when you realize that everyone has their own timing, experiences, and challenges. And by accepting this, you also free yourself from the need to control others' behavior, which, believe it or not, can actually strengthen bonds and make relationships more genuine. Think about it. People aren't machines. You can't program them to do what you want. Remember, you have the power to decide how you react and live your life without depending on others' actions. By doing so, you become emotionally stronger, gain more control over your peace, and let go of the need for everything to go exactly the way you want. What truly makes a difference is how you view what happens around you and the choices you make. When you stop waiting for everything to go your way, you start living in a much lighter, happier way. Method 5. Being right isn't always the most important thing. Often, in our quest to be right, we forget what really matters. The desire to prove a point, win an argument, or have the last word can be so strong that it prevents us from seeing what's really happening around us. But what if I told you that being right isn't always the most important thing? In fact, there are times when being right can feel empty and even lonely. It might sound strange, right? In a world that values truth and accuracy so much, letting go of proving you're right can seem like a mistake. But think about this. How many times in a conversation or argument did you feel victorious for showing that you were right, but deep down didn't feel any closer to the person you were talking to? How many times did you feel distant, even after winning the conversation? The reality is that what truly matters isn't being right, but the impact our words and actions have on ourselves and others. Being right might be a momentary victory, but choosing empathy, understanding, and respect for others' feelings is an achievement that brings much more lasting benefits. In the end, the connections we make with others are far more valuable than any debate. Imagine you're in a heated argument with someone you love. Maybe it's about something simple, but pride starts to take over. You feel you're right, that logic is on your side, and the desire to prove it is huge. But if you pause for a moment and look at the person in front of you, you might realize that they're not just trying to win or lose. They're trying to be heard and understood. And in that moment, choosing to see what the other person feels could be far more important than any argument you have. This doesn't mean you should ignore your beliefs or give up what you think. It's essential to stay true to your values. However, proving you're right doesn't have to be a battle. Sometimes true wisdom is knowing when to stay silent, listen, understand, and choose peace over trying to win the argument at all costs. Have you noticed how, in a fight or disagreement, insisting on being right can actually push you away from the people you love? Instead of strengthening the relationship, it can build a wall of pride between you and the other person. And what do you gain from that? A moment of satisfaction for being right, but perhaps at the cost of connection, trust, and even the chance to learn something new. Method 5. Being right isn't always the most important thing. Sometimes, in our desire to be right, we forget what really matters. The need to prove a point, win an argument, or have the last word can be so strong that it prevents us from seeing what's happening around us. But what if I told you that being right isn't always the most important thing? In fact, there are moments when being right can be empty and even lonely. It might sound strange, right? In a world that values truth and accuracy so much, letting go of the need to prove you're right might seem like a mistake. But think about it. How many times, in a conversation or argument, did you feel victorious for showing that you were right, but still didn't feel closer to the person you were talking to? How many times did you feel distant, even after winning the conversation? The truth is, what really matters isn't being right, but the impact our words and actions have on ourselves and others. Being right might be a temporary win, but choosing empathy, understanding, and respecting others' feelings is a victory with much longer-lasting benefits. In the end, the bonds we form with people are much more valuable than any debate. Imagine you're in a heated argument with someone you love. Maybe it's about something simple, but pride starts to take over. You feel like you're right, logic is on your side, and you're desperate to prove it. But if you take a moment to look at the person in front of you, you might realize they aren't just trying to win or lose, they're trying to be heard and understood. In that moment, choosing to see how the other person feels could be much more important than any argument you have. This doesn't mean you should ignore your beliefs or give up what you think. It's important to stay true to your values. However, proving you're right doesn't have to be a battle. Sometimes true wisdom is knowing when to stay silent, listen, understand, and choose peace over trying to win the argument at all costs. Have you noticed how, in a fight or disagreement, insisting on being right can end up pushing you away from the people you love? Instead of strengthening the relationship, it can build a wall of pride between you and the other person. And what do you gain from that? A moment of satisfaction for being right, but maybe at the cost of connection, trust, and even the chance to learn something new. Method 6. The calm of stepping away speaks louder than 1,000 words. In a world full of noise and chaos, where words are spoken nonstop and emotions mix like loose threads, real strength often lies in silence. The calm of stepping back, taking a step away, and distancing yourself from the confusion is a profound practice of self-control and self-awareness that means more than any speech. This act is not just about escaping. It's a conscious choice to create space for thinking, for peace, and for inner wisdom. In Stoic philosophy, which values reason and control over impulses, we see a clear example of how silence can be a form of strength. Zeno, one of the most important philosophers, wrote that the greatness of a person is measured by their ability to remain calm in tough moments. He reminds us that when things get tense, words aren't always the best answer. Sometimes the greatest power we can have in a situation is the ability to step away from it, not letting our emotions control our actions and words. Epictetus, another great thinker, reinforces this idea when he says, "It's not events that disturb us, but what we think about them." When we step away from a situation full of problems, we're not just distancing ourselves physically, but also from our internal reactions. By staying silent, we create a space where reason and clarity can emerge, where the response is not impulsive but thought out. Stepping away, therefore, isn't an act of indifference, but of self-control. By removing ourselves, we're protecting ourselves from a hasty reaction and giving ourselves a chance to act more reflectively. Silence here is seen as a presence where words are chosen carefully and actions follow inner wisdom. The calm of stepping away speaks louder than 1,000 words, because when we withdraw from a situation, we're sending a powerful and clear message. I'm bigger than this. I can maintain my peace and respect, both for myself and others. Instead of responding with anger or haste, we choose to create the necessary space for the truth to come out in its own time. By stepping away, we also show that true strength isn't in controlling others, but in controlling ourselves. With silence, we can direct our energy toward what really matters, our inner growth. This is something philosophers have always understood. Philosophy teaches us that the act of stepping away is often the wisest. It's not passivity, but an active choice for peace. A conscious retreat is a path to self-knowledge, because when we step away, we can observe our own reactions and reflect on what truly matters. This silence, far from being empty, is full of meaning. It resonates with the wisdom of someone who knows that inner peace doesn't depend on the circumstances around us, but on our ability to connect with our deepest self. When we step away calmly, we're telling the world that our peace can't be disturbed by empty words or pointless arguments. And as the wise Pythagoras says, silence is the best answer for those who don't know how to listen. So next time chaos arises, remember that true strength lies not in reacting, but in stepping away wisely. The silence you choose now is the strongest word you can speak, not only to others, but to yourself. It's in silence that you find the peace the world tries so hard to take away from you. Method 7. 100% immune to negative people. Have you noticed how sometimes certain people seem like a constant source of emotional drain? Sometimes in subtle ways, other times more clearly. They drain you, empty you of energy, without realizing the impact they're causing. They may be so immersed in their own problems and frustrations that they don't notice that by interacting with you, they're just continuing a cycle of negativity, criticism, and judgment. What they offer isn't a word of support or a gesture of friendship, but an invisible weight that ends up affecting even your mood. People like this often, unintentionally, feed on the weakness and pain of others. They are so immersed in their own emotional scarcity that they don't know how to offer anything beyond the darkness within them. It's not a conscious choice, but a reflection of what they haven't healed in themselves. They live trapped in a cycle of despair, endless criticism, and judgment, which, instead of uplifting the soul, only drags it down. But what if, instead of giving in to this environment, you could simply be immune to it? What if, no matter how much they try to touch your soul, you could be strong enough to stay unaffected by their toxicity? Being immune to negative people doesn't mean being insensitive or uninterested. It's not about ignoring their pain or avoiding difficult relationships, but rather making a conscious choice. The choice not to allow their energy to interfere with your peace and balance. After all, when you allow yourself to be swept up by the emotions of those around you, you become a hostage to something you can't control. You lose your essence, your authenticity, and slowly start to drift away from who you really are, letting harsh words, criticism, and others' negativity define your state of mind. Being immune to these people is understanding deeply that the way they behave says more about them than it does about you. They are stuck in a place of smallness, with a narrow mindset, trying to find power by bringing others down. But you, on the other hand, are someone who moves toward growth and light. There's no need to retaliate or enter that cycle. Your strength isn't in responding to provocation, but in walking your path with courage and calm. When you truly become immune to small-minded people, you start to realize that the real skill is knowing how to filter what truly deserves your attention. It's not about being indifferent or insensitive, but about protecting your inner peace. Your energy is too precious to waste on empty criticism or senseless attacks. By emotionally distancing yourself from others' negativity, you create a safe space for what truly matters: your personal growth, your evolution, and, above all, your happiness. It's not about denying the reality of those around you, but protecting your soul from influences that are destructive and unnecessary. As you become immune, you begin to surround yourself with people who are on the same wavelength as you, who seek the best in themselves and others. You'll find yourself in healthier, more positive environments where constructive criticism and mutual support are common, not the exception. And in this space of true exchange, you'll find more peace, more harmony, and surprisingly more energy to pursue your own dreams. Remember this: the value of your life isn't defined by those who try to diminish or bring you down. The value of your life is in how you rise, in how you choose not to be affected by those who haven't yet found their own path to peace. Your true strength lies in not allowing the shadows of others to extinguish the light you carry within yourself. True immunity is not letting yourself be poisoned by others' toxicity. So, the next time you encounter someone who tries to pull you down, stop, breathe, and remember that you have the power to be immune. You have full control over your peace and energy. No matter how hard it is, the choice not to be affected is yours, and this choice is transformative. It redefines your path, bringing you closer to who you truly are. And when you stand firm in this purpose, nothing or no one can take what is rightfully yours: your peace. Walking this path to immunity against irritation and small-minded people is not just about wisdom, but about constant practice. The real challenge is in building a solid, impenetrable inner fortress that protects you from the negative energy of those who, often without realizing it, try to weaken you. But to be 100% immune, it takes more than understanding the theory. It requires putting the lessons into practice at every moment. Irritation often arises from a frustrated expectation or the desire to control something beyond your reach. When you embrace the principles of Stoicism, you begin to realize that deep down, you only have power over your reactions, not over others' actions. By mastering this awareness, you become immune to what once threw you off balance. True peace doesn't come from an environment free of irritations, but from a calm, focused mind that chooses to respond with tranquility in the face of adversity. As for small-minded people, they continue to exist, but their influence over you diminishes greatly as you strengthen yourself from within. These people, who seek to bring others down to feel better, no longer have the power to affect you, because you've understood that their behavior is a reflection of their own pain and insecurity. They are part of life's game, but they don't need to be part of yours. Now, a warning: don't fall for the illusion that you'll be 100% immune overnight. This process is gradual and it requires self-awareness and patience. Being immune to people and situations that irritate you is a skill that improves every day, and life will test you. Small-minded people will try to push your limits. Stressful situations will come up, trying to throw you off course. And that's when the real test of your immunity will be how you choose to react. Stay alert. The world will challenge you, and the temptations to engage in arguments or be pulled into negativity will show up at every moment. No matter how strong you've become, life is a constant test. People, with their sharp words and disrespectful actions, will try to make you doubt your own peace. Stressful situations, unfounded criticism, and even moments of frustration will arise to test your limits. But here's the big truth. True immunity isn't about avoiding these situations. It's not about running away from problems or trying to create a world where nothing can affect you. True immunity is about the power to stand firm. It's about being aware of who you are, your essence, and how you choose to respond to challenges. When you have inner clarity, nothing others say or do can take away your strength. And that's what the Stoics taught us. True peace doesn't depend on what happens around you, but on how you position yourself in response. You are not a victim of circumstances, you are the master of your reactions. So, whenever someone tries to pull you into negativity, whenever provocation arises, or when irritation tries to take control, remember, you have the power to decide. And it's this daily conscious choice that makes you unstoppable. Challenges are inevitable on our journey, but they don't decide our future. What really matters is how we respond to each one of them. They are disguised opportunities, and every response we give shapes the person we're becoming. So, if you've made it this far, comment "the wise Stoic" at the end. This isn't just a phrase. It's a reminder that wisdom is a continuous journey, and you, my friend, are on the right path. Thank you so much for your attention. If this content resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel, like, and share. On the screen, there's a video that will add even more value to your journey. See you next time. May peace be with you.